we are always used to say that many Nobel Prizes come from the Jewish community, that they came from Israel. I
Yes,
know.
okay.
Tell me something.
Yes.
What's happened in your mind? Someday you are not a winning. One day you are just
Yes.
investigating.
Yes.
The other day you are now a Nobel Prize winner.
Yes.
And they call you from Israel, and they say he's Israeli.
Yes.
They call you from United States. You are American. They call you. What changes in your life after winning a Nobel Prize?
Okay, first, being readopted by the Israeli, it's overall okay. I have some issue with, but overall it's where I grew up, and it's, you never stop being Israeli.
Yes.
If you mix it of why Jewish people win Nobel Prize, maybe because they were forced to read 15,000 years ago at the age of 3, and somehow it helped. Or maybe just because of Jewish mother. We don't know.
I just came from meeting with my Jewish mother, so
Yes, okay.
I can tell you it has to be. So
Okay.
you have to have all the answers ready to answer her. So. But what changes in your life after having won a Nobel Prize? What's happened?
It's a completely new world. I mean, first you are more authoritative. I mean, your scientific findings are accepted more, or at least people pretend that they accept it more. So if you argue with somebody, they assume that
You are the good one.
Yes. Then you are being treated on completely different levels, so it's different way of life. You travel much more, whether it's good or bad, I don't know. And you have the chance to talk to many people and to influence.
It's a responsibility also for you?
What?
It's a responsibility. You say they believe more in you. It's more a responsibility also for...
No, because I always believe in myself more than all of these people together. So it's not. This is not. This has never been the issue. I kind of knew that what I say is right.
You believe like Israeli, so you never forget you're Israeli, so it's right.
So, Doctor,
Yes.
I wanted to ask you, I mean, with this, winning the Nobel Prize, as you said, I mean, it opens quite a lot of doors because it allows you to meet new people, it allows you to travel to new places and to share your knowledge with other persons. So, from your perspective, do you believe that today, in the 21st century,
Yes.
with all the problems that we are facing, I mean, we're talking about global warming, we're talking about disease, we're talking about overpopulation, I mean, we are talking about the change of genetics, I mean, a lot of things is going on. Do you believe it is that the scientific community is doing enough in order to keep improving their research? Because sometimes trying to find the answer, it's scary to many people. I mean, you mentioned gene editing.
Yes.
And sometimes people are saying, okay, if we go to that place, it's like we are playing to be God. And we shouldn't be there. But in the other hand, we say that we need to be there because if we want to save a lot of people, we have to research it. So what do you think about it?
First, having discovery which are driven by curiosity end up usually in power tools. Now, sometimes these tools could cause problems, I don't know, like the atomic bomb. Sometimes there are genetic modification. For me, is a very, very good direction, but there are people who don't like it. So obviously there should be responsibility also for government. There are so many problems that gene editing would help.
Would you work with gene editing?
No, as I say, it's my competition because gene editing just say, well, we don't want to understand these defective proteins. We are just going to replace
Exactly, correct it.
replace
That's
the
right.
gene to a correct protein, to just put back the correct one.
Exactly.
So for me, though, I would say that if they replace it to almost correct protein,
All right.
then I could contribute. But or stem cell. There are a lot of promising techniques which I don't see the direct relationship to what we could do. But you see, scientists should try to educate governments which directions are needed. Sometimes it works, sometimes it does not. And not all scientists agree on all directions, including global warming.
And tell me, you told me that one of the things that changes after you won our Nobel Prize, you have to travel more.
Yes.
They believe more in you.
Yes.
So that's why they brought you here to IPN. So, because they believe more in you.
Okay.
You are a Nobel Prize.
No,
You have
I meant people who try to argue with me.
Yes.
Right.
They did not try yet to argue with me, so it's not, but go ahead.
All right.
Yes.
So you have to talk with the people in Mexico,
Yes.
with many students at the IPN, I mean other seminars and many other things, not just talking about climbing the Pyramid del Sol, but how did you see the people in Mexico, the students, the investigators? Did you talk with them? What did they surprise you, or did you think they are completely lost, or they are complete in the correct way? How do you think about these students in IPN?
I like the questions in my main lecture.
Yes.
I mean, it's always good to have interaction and to get kind of a lot of responses. I had another smaller section where at least two people have slightly weird idea, but it's allowed, like believing in homeopathy. But again, this you could believe in different things and push it, so it's not. So essentially, I like it. So
Maybe when you started with the protein concept, somebody told he's crazy. He's a weird idea that proteins is not that, but that's also no. You were also somebody just investigation asking somebody ask it.
No, but here we talk on an idea which is crazy per principle. But okay, you might be right. I mean, I told the guys that homeopathy or whatever might work one day, but there is no way that somebody proved by calculations that it works. This is not. This is statement based on. You see, I cannot say that cold fusion will never work.
All right, yes.
But I could say that if somebody tried to prove it by calculations, I don't believe the calculation.
And how was with the other students? How was the talk?
No, I was very encouraged. I got good and a lot of questions.
Did they surprise you? Did you thought these were the students of Mexico, or you thought about different? What's the difference between other countries? I don't know, maybe.
No, first I don't know enough. I know Jewish people who immigrated to Israel from Mexico City, very important scientists in the 70s. So I know that there must be good people. I don't know I know that it's a huge student population, so you always have the law of averages. And I could not, the only contact that I have is to hear the questions. So I was impressed from their interest and from the questions. I did not set on a thesis, and even if I was doing it, it would not be general enough.
And
I wanted to ask you, with complementing this question, you're a professor. I mean, you have the opportunity to teach many students around the world. I wanted to get your perspective about it. I mean, how do you see today the student of today? Because when I talk to many people here in Mexico, what they want is to create new companies. They say, okay, I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to be like Mark Zuckerberg, or probably like Bill Gates, or maybe like Jack Dorsey, and I want to create an internet company. But doing that sometimes leaves away or takes them away of doing research, because it's easy to create something fast and trying to create something. So with your perspective, how do you see the students?
No, usually always the student level goes down with time in all the countries. And it's mainly...
Goes down, you say?
Yes. It's mainly because of the directions that people want to give them less homework. It did not diffuse enough to, let's say, Korea or China, but you see it even in Sweden. So people do not become genetically more stupid. But they see that they could push their parents. In the old time, the parents were tougher, and they try to study less. And in places like America, you basically give them very completely fictitious classes, macrame or something. And so people, the number of hours that you could do homework is keep going down all the time. And there are people that believe that this is fine, but it does not work in sciences.
So science needs homework.
Exactly. It completely requires homework. But wait, and you compound on this wanting to have IPO, to have a company, and to do some application. So there are still enough so-called geeks that are studying, but the general level in the classes, at least in America, is going down.
And tell me something. Always, what is called science, chemic, chemistry, physics, it has been always looked like something not very excitement. It looks like, I don't know, and more, like Carlos said, today they want to be bloggers, they want to be YouTubers, they want to create things in internet, they want to be administrators, building something, and more they see like nerd people, the ones that go inside science, the program, it's the Big Bang Theory that everybody talks, and you see these big guys like saying they are the nerds, they are the losers. How to encourage people, young people, the kids, to like science, because now science it doesn't do the level. How to encourage them to follow that trip, to investigate, because science is investigating. It's the nice thing about science is that you have to investigate. You cannot take what it's done and do it, and there are not receipts. There are some, but you have to investigate. That's the challenge, to discover something new. How to encourage them?
Okay, so first it's a very difficult question, and there are people who say that you have to start at the age of 3. I'm not completely sure, but there are people who do special games and so on. And the other is to tell them that even if you want to be Zuckerberg or something, it's good to have the basis. First of all, you might not become Zuckerberg, somebody else will be the Zuckerberg. So having the basis for logical thinking is extremely important. And it is not, first of all, it's also sometimes pleasant if you could use it. And you could also do interesting, forget about important, interesting things. So what are the alternatives? Now they stop accepting people for psychology in Israel because there are too many positions. So engineering, for example, opened to so many doors that I think one could explain it to at least a fraction of the student, that this is something that if you get it, not if you cannot do any mathematical things, fine, but if you get it, it's not such a bad thing, and you could get really. So I think it cannot compete with having some new applications that make you a billionaire.
Right.
But maybe even for figuring out the application, it would be good to study at least undergraduate in engineering or science.
Okay. So, Professor, you have worked many years in the university. You came down here to the Politecnico, and today universities, from my perspective, faces one of the biggest challenges in all their history, because they're trying to prepare students for challenges that sometimes, probably challenges that they don't even exist today.
Yes.
Maybe to work for companies that also don't exist today, and to solve science problems. I mean, we're talking about today. Today, some people are talking about going to Mars. Other ones are talking about how we're going to solve the climate change, how we're going to solve the water problem. So I mean, universities are preparing students for the next generation from problems that we have been trying to solve for many decades, and we couldn't. So, being you a professor and being also a Nobel Prize, what do you think? I mean, what should be the role of a professor today with all these new scenarios changing so fast?
You see, there is even worse problem because people could get the best professors on the internet, which is
What they believe is the best professor.
What?
They believe it's the best professor, not many times.
No. You could take. Not everybody is a good lecturer, so you could get the best one. I don't know, at MIT, who enjoy it also and give lectures
On the internet,
in some course, and then they put it on the internet. So what university could do is more smaller group integrated projects. This will be much harder to replace. So this is one direction. Of course, financially depends how well it works, but teaching people to think logically and to solve problems still is something that university could do the best.